I kept thinking about that because so many people have been doing it.
Yes.
So it makes all of the sense. Hello, 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 friends.
Yes, it's us.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
It is we.
It's them.
It's weans.
It's them there.
It's weans.
Those, that, the people.
I think weans. Maybe somebody in Dogpatch might say that.
Yeah.
It's weans.
I like that. Maybe somebody in Dogpatch. That was so fun when Daisy came over with the Daisy May. Who's this? Daisy May. It's not for you. Whatever it is, it's not for you. Again, my dad has so many things that, in fairness to my child, are toys. So it is quite difficult to explain to her that while they are in fact toys, they're not toys for her. They're grandpa's toys. So I give her that it is confusing when grandpa has so many toys and you can't touch them. So a bit tricky in our home. And yesterday, my dad and I were trying to get some work done in his office. Daisy came in because, of course, she did, and was trying to look through all of grandpa's stuff, which, again, normal. But she came over to me with a pen and she said, "Who's this?" And I looked and I said, "Oh, it's Daisy May." "You shouldn't have that. It's Daisy May from Lil Abner." And she should not have had that. And it was a battle, as per usual. She's pretty good about giving stuff back now. I think he's being quiet.
Yeah, no, she is.
She's pretty good about giving stuff
pretty
back.
Good.
Not that good.
But no, it's just that she's a kid. She wants to touch everything.
Yeah. And again, what she wants to touch are toys.
Yeah, and some of them are fragile.
So Hampa, they are toys.
They are. No. All fairness to her.
I'm just saying. They are, in fact, toys. She doesn't go up to your really beautiful books and say, "Can I read this?" Though that will come. She's like, "Hey, that thing that looks exactly like a toy because it is, I want it." To which you must say, "Fair enough, kid. Of course you do."
I don't know if this is a good thing or bad, responding to Craig here. I don't know if this is a good thing or, in light of what's been going on most recently, a bad thing. But having never met her, I approached Patti LuPone at this year's Independent Spirit Awards.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Okay.
I saw Pat. Okay, let's start here.
Okay.
We are musical theater nerds in this house. My mother and I, more so than my dad, but him being, I'm going to, they're a little far away. I'm going to bring them closer.
Yep.
But them having trained me, especially my mother, and I went to school for musical theater. Singing musical theater is my happy place. So we were at the Independent Spirit Awards. My dad was a guest. I was working, and I was standing, and I see her coming, and I would say lightly punched you, like gentle punch, and went, "It's Patti LuPone. It's Patti LuPone. Turn around. It's Patti LuPone." And he, remarkably fast for you, turned and saw her, and he said, "Patti," and she greeted him like they were best friends.
There's a photo to prove it.
There's a photo, a really good photo where she's like this, like she squished him, and I was dying. And I told her, I said, "You're a legend, and I love you, and thank you for all the years." I just tried I tried to make words, but mostly I think it was just me kind of going, she could not have been nicer. Could not have been nicer. Now, I will say, as my friend Josh has joined, I know her reputation prior to the chaos happening now. She's tough. She's a tough broad, and she's been through it all, and she does not censor herself. So I didn't know what to expect. And then she couldn't have been nicer. So I was thrilled. And I think you were pretty excited too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's Patti flipping LuPone, okay? So if you pay attention to what has been going on in the Broadway universe, Patti did an interview. Patti didn't think before she spoke. Let's put it that way.
She has no filter.
She has no filter. And look, living with Alice Maltin, we're used to that. I think Patti and Alice could get themselves canceled in about 7 seconds. My mother says things. Dear God, I didn't even tell you the other day. No, not here. Don't worry. Because, yeah, just things come out and have us both going, so I get it. Patty got in a lot of trouble. If you paid attention to any of this, whole heap of trouble, has apologized and wrote, I think, a pretty solid apology. No excuses to it, just a good old fashioned, but it is crazy because you just sort of like, we just met her. And I'm so excited. And I really want to try and get her for the podcast. I've been talking to Aram about it, my friend who just worked with her. I still really want to have her, fucking Patty Lupone. So we'll see. But it's just only fitting that that would happen right at that moment. Craig says her Mama Rose was light years better than Audra's. Craig, if you want to sit down with me and my mom, we can talk about how, yeah, I will not politely. Audra's version of Gypsy is not how I think of Gypsy. People who have seen her who are not super familiar with the show are loving it. And that's great. She is amazing. Audra McDonald is a queen, no question. Her rendition is not something I like, but that doesn't make her not Audra McDonald and incredible to watch on stage.
Now, my wife can lord it over us any old time.
Yeah.
Because she saw Ethel Merman.
Alice saw Ethel Merman. You know, man, she lucked out. But both of you, you've seen so many of the best live. Like how? You know, it's
I saw Woody Allen in his play It Again, Sam.
Yeah.
And which was very well adapted for the screen and directed, I think, by Herbert Ross. And Woody played his lead character again. It's a wonderful play, and it's a wonderful film.
Yeah,
it doesn't get mentioned that much because he didn't make the film.
Right.
He merely wrote it and stars.
Yeah. Kevin says he likes her TV work as well. Yeah, I mean, look, she is a legend. She has been working forever, and she's done absolutely everything. I'm very grateful to say I've seen her on stage more than once. And she was everything I could have hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely everything I could have hoped for. Jonathan, I know you don't like Ethel Merman, but we love Ethel Merman. So Ethel Merman will always be a very important person in this household, very important person to me, to my mother. Joshy is saying Staunton and Bernadette and Bet also split folks and have their huge fans. A wonderful arc of a role. Totally. My friend Josh, who joins us sometimes on our Sundays, he's also a musical theater kid and has the most fantastic dirt, which I genuinely enjoy, having worked in New York for a long time and all of that. It is amazing, I think, when, look, we've talked about this, who is your Batman? Your Batman is whoever you first saw as Batman. Who is your 007? Who's your James Bond? Usually it's the first Bond you saw because that's just how it's burned into your brain. Who is your Superman? Who, all these things. I was raised on the original production of Gypsy, Ethel Merman, and then the film, of course, and Rosalind Russell is incredible in that. So that, for me, that's Gypsy.
Yeah.
Those two performances, that version, which are similar, I think that they're similar takes. I think they're perfect. So who is your Zorro? To me, there's only one Zorro. There's only one perfect, handsome guy that is Zorro. And I mean guy. Is he your Zorro? Or are you Silent Zorro?
Well, I love Doug Fairbanks in The Mark of Zorro.
Yeah.
And I like Tyrone Power too.
Yeah.
In the remake. But I grew up with Guy Williams.
Yeah. If you close your eyes and you think Zorro, I see Guy Williams.
Yeah, I see Guy Williams.
As I say, that's the test. I do it to people all the time. If they're asking about that sort of thing, I say, close your eyes. Who do you see? Because you're going to have a picture in your head.
Yeah, sure.
Of whoever it is. And it's Guy Williams all day for me. Yeah, exactly. Bernadette Peters was the first Mama Rose I saw. So she's my favorite. She's my standard. Absolutely. That's what I mean. And for me, I felt that Bernadette, and I remember reading the reviews at the time, they talked about how she made her Mama Rose really vulnerable. And I thought, that's not that. And again, for me, I was like, vulnerable. She's not vulnerable till way further into the show. But again, I understand that whatever you saw, plus again, look, seeing something on stage, seeing anything on
Oh,
stage,
sure.
it's a whole other, it is an experience. The entire thing is an experience. Going to a theater,
Look,
sitting in a theater.
I'm a movie person, but I love theater,
Oh yeah, you do.
and I know that there are two separate media.
Did you guys get invited to Parade?
Not yet.
I really want to see it. There's a production of Parade coming. It's going to be at the Amundsen. Josh, I know, is my friend, is going. I was looking last night. I was debating it because I love that show. But yeah, no, theater is just, there's just something special about theater. There just is. And we are lucky because quite a bit does come out here. And you and Mommy get invited to a number of the shows that happen at the Center Theater Group. And there's just never a bad time. There's never a bad time to see a show.
No.
And we've seen some terrible shows. God, have we seen some really awful renditions of things, but you love it anyway. It's still an experience. I think of Boyfriend. Do you remember my experience with Damn Yankees?
Yes, I do.
UCLA?
Yes, I do. UCLA at the Frood Playhouse, not Freud, spelled like Freud, but Frood Playhouse.
Frood.
Put on a series. This is 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the Encore series in New York, where they took seldom revived shows and put them on their feet with a small orchestra and usually no costumes, sometimes a costume or two.
No. They did full costumes. Remember Hot Mikado? They did full costumes. Same thing with Lil Abner.
It varied.
No. Well, every production we saw was full out, just small.
Yeah.
But they had the whole Megillah. Continue.
Anyway, yes, Gene Wilder is the real Wonka. Responding to notes that are coming in here. Anyway, they put on a series like Encores, staging, minimally staging these shows. Like I'd never seen a production of The Boys from Syracuse, Rodgers and Hart's show.
Oh God, that was great.
That was
that
wonderful.
production was fantastic.
David Hyde Pierce.
That was amazing.
Leah Delaria.
We saw Man of La Mancha. We saw so many. Lil Abner. Hot Mikado is one of the best. That's something I'll treasure forever. Getting to see that.
On Your Toes, another Rodgers and Hart.
That was really fun.
Never gets redone.
But one of my very best friends, he and I went to see the production they put on of Damn Yankees. And the thing is, they usually had at least one star. Boys from Syracuse, we had Leah Delaria and David Hyde Pierce, and I don't remember who else. Yeah, but it's like and
a few other people.
There were some others. I think
Jason Graw.
Was it Jason Graw?
Yeah,
Jason Graw. So you never knew who you were going to see. This production had Lilias White and a whole bunch of other people, but she was like, to me, the biggest theater name. And this production was just, it was something. I can't describe it without sounding awful, but man. And so my best friend, he and I were sitting together and we were like intertwined laughing because it was terrible and like cry laughing and holding each other to stop the sound coming out of us. We got to see a production of West Side Story in London that was atrocious.
At the Sadler's Wells.
But still an experience.
Yeah.
Still an experience. The highlight of being, so the biggest problem with that show, with that production was all of the men involved, God bless them, were flaming gay. And again, I say this as a proud fag hag and someone who is surrounded. It was the gayest production I think I've ever seen of anything. And so when he's singing Maria, when Tony's up there singing Maria, you're going, you do not want Maria a day in your life, son. You want to go run off with that shark. Let's not even talk about it. It was hysterical. The funny ending to that is we leave the theater. It was what it was. I went out with some friends to the gay part of London where the entire cast was. I walk into a room with one of my friends and there is sitting Tony and everybody else. And they were like, oh, hey. And I just went, you got to be kidding me. It was the funniest. Couldn't have asked for better. Sorry. Someone is asking if you would talk a little bit about the Little Rascals.
Well,
What would you like to know?
what's to say? My wife and I have been diving into the past, watching old episodes of To Tell the Truth via YouTube, the indispensable YouTube. And one episode had a boy who was Freckles in our gang.
Freckles.
Freckles. There never was someone called Freckles. Even he, in explaining his involvement with our gang, said they shot it on the East Coast, not in Hollywood. And what it was is there was at least one guy, maybe more than one, who used to go from town to town, like Harold Hill, Harold Hill, and only he wasn't selling musical instruments. He was selling the opportunity to appear in an Our Gang-like comedy short.
Tricky.
And he'd
Tricky.
get an application fee, and then he would actually roll film, and sometimes go so far as to play it at the local theater, their Main Street Bijou. And so some of these former kids then claimed that they were in our gang. What sue me? What are you going to do?
Complicated, let's say.
I was interviewing. I've told this before, I think. I was interviewing Spanky McFarland at a nostalgia convention at the old Commodore Hotel, long since flattened, in New York. And there was a center aisle with in the audience. And a guy walked up the aisle halfway and said, "Hey, Spanky, it's Pee-wee." And Spanky, no fool, said, "Hey, Pee-wee, how you doing?" And it satisfied the man's ego. And then there never was a Pee-wee in our gang. And
can you imagine how often that must have happened, though?
Oh yeah, he said four different people came up and said, "Hi, I'm Darla."
Right. Oh, perfect. Perfect.
What nerve to go up to somebody who was actually Spanky McFarland
to say, "Hey, buddy." No. I think part of what it will always be interesting, of course, is the fact that it's Our Gang and Little Rascals, and they are the same.
Yeah.
And I remember starting to get a little older and realizing that it's two different names. I'd never questioned it. And then finally went, "Excuse me, sir, why does it have two names?" And like with everything else, legal. It is legal reasons.
Hal Roach, who made nothing but short subjects for most of his career, had to face the fact in the middle of the 30s during the Depression that a lot of theaters weren't showing shorts anymore. They were showing double features, giving the customers the impression they were getting two movies for the price of one, and not understanding at first that second feature was a B movie, deliberately made for this bottom half of a double bill, and usually made cheaply with a grade B cast, a grade B director. That's not to say that some of them weren't very good, or that the talent was second rate. It's just that they were not say we still use the term A-list.
Yeah.
They were not the A-listers.
Yeah.
So you weren't really getting two major feature films for the price of one. Anyway, Hal Roach, rather than see Our Gang die out, he sold the contracts of the six major kids and the name Our Gang to MGM, which had been distributing them all along. And Spanky and Alfalfa and Darla and Buckwheat and Porky all went several blocks west to MGM Studios. And if you watch the films they made for the first year or so, 1938, they're pretty good. And they're almost as good as the original ones. And then they became moralistic and treacly, and they brought in new kids, including a very young Bobby Blake. So it changed. But that's why Hal Roach, when he wanted to sell the original films to television, couldn't use the name Our Gang, and they'd already used Rascals before.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the title cards in the silent comedy say Hal Roach presents his Rascals in
Our Gang.
yeah.
Crazy, isn't it, Logan? Come here. No, it's fascinating because, as I say, I've had so many people ask me about that specifically over the years, why it's two names, and I said it's like everything else, legal, which is a trip. A few people are saying, how can people pretend to be? Look, if somebody out there is Princess Anastasia, then you're a rascal. As I say, what's tough with the Rascals is just because there were a number of kids, including some kids that didn't necessarily speak.
Right. There were background extras, and there were,
it wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be hard to say, oh yeah, I was in that too. And obviously, again, especially depending on your age, you could get away with it because we're talking about before computers, before IMDb, all of that kind of stuff. So again, how is someone going to call you out and go, no, you're not? It's difficult to do. Was Froggy's voice his real one?
No.
You say that Jonathan mentioned before, if you've seen the Little Rascals they did in the 90s, 94.
Oh yeah.
I loved them. I have to say, I loved that movie. I think they did a really good job with casting.
They tried really hard.
They did a really good job with casting. And
Bug Hall, there's a name to remember.
I will never forget. Oh, he's become a crazy person. It's really disappointing.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's deep for anybody who grew up with him. It's deeply disappointing that he's a crazy person now. Yeah, I mean, everybody in it, they were all so good. Like, it was perfect. And I love the Whoopi Goldberg cameo. That's great. No, they really tried. And did you do an interview with all of them, or was it just Petey? Because I only know that photo.
I went to it was a daytime talk show. Can't remember the host's name. A woman. It was a daytime talk show, a la Oprah, taped in Hollywood, and they brought
that's funny. Okay,
some of the original kids and Petey. The new Petey. And I have a great picture of me with Pete. You have a great
picture with him. He's such a cute puppy. Yeah. This is Logan. Someone just asked what our dog's name. This is Logan. We have two dogs. Mabel is over there. This one's Logan. I thought that movie did a really good job. And it makes me happy because it's one where, if it's the one you've seen, I think it is... it wouldn't put you off other Little Rascals because, it's done really well.
Yeah.
I think it would encourage you to watch more. I thought it was a really good one and very sweet.
Oh, what's our dog's name? This is
That's
Logan.
Why I said this is Logan.
He came with the name.
He did. He came with Logan.
We would not have named him Logan particularly.
I don't know. He seemed like a Logan.
He does now.
You see him like a Logan. Mabel, we did get to name. That was an experience, trying to pick a name for a dog. All of us just going, you there, white dog. Meg Ryan can say she was Anastasia. Yes, she can. That movie, it's amazing to me. I know I loved that movie, but it surprises me to this day how many other people love that movie. And then other people who never knew it even existed. Because it was sort of a random, it was Fox, yeah?
It was Fox when Bill Mechanic was running Fox.
Yeah. I've been meaning to call him. Thank you for reminding me. It sort of came out of left field because everybody would expect it to be Disney, but it's not, obviously.
It was Don Bluth.
Yeah.
And his studio, which was in Phoenix, I think.
Yeah. It's a trip. Yes, this weekend is Monster Palooza. And I've seen a number of costumes already, and they are fantastic. It is so much fun to see what everybody's doing. There were three ghosts from Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
they looked fantastic.
Oh, good.
I love the way they do Monster Palooza here. It's in is it considered Glendale or is it Pasadena? I don't know which one they consider, but it's that way. And it's a really, where Comic-Con has gotten so gigantic and can be really overwhelming, this is not. It's still in a small enough space that it feels intimate and you can talk to everybody. And we've enjoyed going. We've gone a couple of times.
And it seems very uncorporate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Completely.
This is mostly fans or fans turned pros.
Yeah.
And very organic.
Yeah. Well, it feels like a community. It
Yeah.
feels very much like
Yeah.
a community. Plus, you can walk down aisles without being squished, which is always, to me, key.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I thought Blue Anastasia was pretty good. It certainly looked great. No, that's what I mean. I love that movie and I love the soundtrack. I think it's fantastic. And I listen to it all the time. I still do. It's great. Gregory says, hi, Leonard, from your Paris friend. You're fantastic. That's so nice of you, Gregory.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. We jokingly say merci buckets, but that is, your language is too beautiful for such things. Any interest in going to the Hollywood show next weekend?
No.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. We used to. How did you first meet Ray Courts?
I don't know.
Yeah. There was a gentleman.
Well, he was a dealer, so I probably met him in a dealer's room.
Yeah. There was a guy. See, again, there were a handful of people here in Los Angeles and Hollywood who really took care of the older actors, directors, and Ray Courts was definitely one of them. He put on these shows.
What was this? He was putting on dealers rooms for collectors of stills, posters, movie memorabilia, TV memorabilia. And the lure to get you to attend was that he had an autograph show attached to his show.
Mm-hmm.
And the autograph show was your entire life spread before you, at least from my
Who was sitting behind us when Mommy lost her mind?
Troy Donahue.
Troy Donahue, that's who it was. I also just realized, because we're both wearing black, we look like we're two-headed. We're a two-headed creature. It's on purpose. It was planned that way. I know. We sat down and Troy Donahue was behind us, and I thought Alice was going to lose her mind. She was so excited. I met the creature from the Black Lagoon. That was neat.
Ben Chapman, the creature on land. Riku Browning was the creature in the water.
Yeah.
I learned all this.
Yeah.
And Ben Chapman was on land.
It was just lots of interesting people, but Ray really took care of people. And he made sure that when they came in, they were treated a certain way. Yeah. And it was really fun to watch, all of these folks and to see them out with their fans.
Our friend Jackie Joseph told us it was like going to a SAG meeting.
Yeah, honestly. So funny. Camden is asking, I'm sorry, I know you asked it before. In one of your many blog posts, you mentioned writing to in brief that you wrote to Chick Young.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of response did he give you as a budding cartoonist? I'm also interested in hearing about other cartoonists you wrote to.
Well, I hit the grand prize when I got a wonderful personal letter, not a form letter, from Charles Schultz. And he not only gave me some advice based on my very amateurish cartoons, but also sent me a signed original Peanuts Daily strip.
He was really, really kind.
He was a nice man.
Really kind.
And Chick Young sent back a card, a pre-printed card with a nice replica pen and ink drawing of the Blondie cast of characters, signed that, and on the back, in ballpoint pen, gave some kind of, standard, nothing wrong with adult advice to a young cartoonist. Study drawing. And
how old was I when we were with Stan? You know what I'm talking about? Pawlowski.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Well, it's over a number of years.
Thank you.
No, it is, but it is. It's over a number of years.
I was a kid, so.
And when we met.
Yep.
the names. The retrieval process is getting slow.
It's just there's a big
It's all in
Rolodex.
there.
There's a big Rolodex you
It's
have
all
to
in
go
there,
through,
but the retrieval process
it's getting
is
it back
slow.
out again.
Yeah.
That's tough.
We're talking about the guy who did Chip and Dale, and Drew on the Napkins, and all that. Yeah.
Yep. It was great. Don't remember much. It was great. At one point, I started having people sign a little autograph book for me. I wish I knew where it was. It's somewhere. In this house. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
But folks would draw for me, and it was really amazing. When you're dealing with people, I mean, and somebody like Charles Schultz, Sparky, they derive so much joy from what they do that sharing it is not a chore. And there's a handful of people you'll meet who are like that, where they are really happy to share these things with you. It's like there's a number of voice actors who will happily do any voice for you. Somebody mentioned Jim Cummings as doing Christopher Lloyd's song in Anastasia. Jim Cummings is a great example. The first time I ever met him, he started doing Winnie the Pooh at me, and I just died. I melted and died. And he knew that that's what was going to happen. And it was so special. And he knows that. And so there are a handful of people who are still that way, where they know how much it will mean to you to hear certain things, or to have somebody draw in front of you. Look, if you have ever actually had someone drawing in front of you, the people who do this professionally, this is their art form, it's nuts to watch them do it, because there's no cleaning up. There's no mistake.
No, exactly.
Their hand knows where it's going and what it's doing. And it's incredible to watch.
Other cartoonists I wrote to Hank Ketchum, because I read Dennis the Menace.
Mm-hmm.
And in what I came to understand was typical fashion, I got a nice response, but it was a kind of a form response from someone on his staff. Hank Ketchum had a staff. Charles Schultz didn't really have a staff. The only thing Charles Schultz didn't do himself, I read, were the Dell comic books. That he allowed someone else to draw those. But even the Ford Motor Company ads and the magazine ads, he insisted he had to draw those.
Yeah. It's just fun to see as well. The way that the characters, like, to me, I will always love the simplicity of the Peanuts. It's not complicated drawings, but they're so perfect. The expressions are perfect. Walking around with like a dust cloud around you. It's simple, but it's exactly what it needs to be. And there's something wonderful about that simplicity and how well it works.
I wrote to Jules Pfeiffer because I lived in Teaneck, New Jersey, and another Teaneck resident was Bob Oxner, who was the DC comic artist who did all the funny DC comic books. There were a few, but they had a Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis run, and then it became Jerry Lewis Comics, then Bob Hope Comics. Can you picture this? I think they did Honeymooners comics for a little while. Bob drew all those. And then when they had no more funny stuff for him to do, he became one of the Superman artists.
Wild, isn't it?
Well, and he mentored Jules Pfeiffer. So he gave me Mr. Pfeiffer's address, and I wrote to him and sent him some of my drawings. And Jules Pfeiffer, who just passed away a few weeks ago in his 90s, hand wrote a 4-page letter to me, giving me very sound advice. Read everything you can. I can't paraphrase it.
Yeah.
But it was straightforward, down to earth, not condescending or talking down to a child.
Yeah.
Or to an adolescent. It was an incredible day when I opened that envelope. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. As I say, it's, people sort of had they seemed to understand how special they were to you
Hmm.
and wanted to make sure that the experience you had with them was special.
Yeah.
And they really wanted to make sure that when you thought of them, you remembered that they signed the thing or did
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like when we were in fourth grade, this is going to sound silly. We were in fourth grade. One of our teachers had us write to the president. And at the time that was Bill Clinton, and had us write letters to the president about what we hoped would change in the future.
Hmm.
And we all wrote these letters. And then we got several weeks later, and it said 1600 on it. We got letters back from the White House, all of us. And the letter was basically, I'm so proud of you young people. It was, it was a typed out letter, but I'm so proud of you young people for, thinking about these things and wanting the future to be better, blah, 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 blah. And then a little signed photo of Bill Clinton. And the idea that we received letters from the White House,
Yeah.
I have no idea if that would happen. Well, especially not right now, but I don't know if that would ever happen. And I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe. I kind of doubt it. But, there we were, 40 kids all got letters from the White House.
Pretty cool.
And, and even though obviously he didn't write the damn thing, I think even as kids, we knew that. It was just the idea. It was the idea that there was a response, that your letter was going to someone. Your letter went to some human being.
Yeah.
Who then had to read it, put some stuff back into another envelope, get your address, and send it.
An alarm is going to go off.
Okay. I'll be ready.
Okay.
I'll be ready to tap on it.
I think at 140.
Ken says, I got one of those from Bush 41 in 1991. Well, that's what I mean. These are not small things.
No.
And, again, letters. Michael B. Jordan has been sending flowers to Claire, one of our good friends. Her husband is the VP of IMAX in the UK and in Europe. And I guess Michael B. Jordan's been really grateful to them for the promotion of Sinners and God knows what else. And he's been sending like gigantic bouquets of flowers for the last few weeks. And she keeps posting them and just being like, I feel so fancy. I feel so fancy. And I love that. I love that. I love anytime you can do something human. Who sent you? Again, there's just so many stories in my head. Who sent you was it Halle Berry who sent you a letter?
Yep.
Halle Berry sent you a letter. That was wild.
After her Oscar nomination.
Handwritten letter on stationery.
Yeah.
It's the little things, except they're not little.
Yeah.
They're quite big.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really love that. I came across a footnote in a book that said Mr. Maltin may have ghost written on the daytime soap opera The Edge of Night. Is this true or completely false? I've never read this before. But I love that someone would put that somewhere. I love that. What's really funny on his Wikipedia is, so what time is it going to go off?
About 140.
Okay. About 140? It's 140. Roughly 140,
maybe 150.
There you go. As I say, it's the small stuff. It's the things that get you. Oh, there it is. Ha ha.
Okay.
Ha ha. Alarm. I take you down. I've lost myself, but again, anything you can do that's personal is pretty special.
Yeah.
I will say, I do genuinely miss the fact my dad used to get letters from prison. That doesn't, it does still sometimes.
Every now and then.
But generally not so much anymore. But as a kid, I didn't find that frightening in the slightest. I thought it was just really cool. The best one for me to date was one telling us that there were some errors in the movie guide. And the one in their prison was like 10 years old. They had the 1998
old
or
edition.
something that didn't have corrections for the next few years. And they sent this list of corrections. And I just thought, I guess in fairness, they have the time. But yeah, the prison letters were absolutely my favorite. I adored the prison letters. Again, I know it sounds silly, but it was just one of those things where I thought, what a completely random thing to have happen. But here we are. Jimmy says, hi, Leonard and Jesse from Australia. Hello, Australia. This might sound like a silly question, but can we get Disney to redo? Oh, friend. Can we get Disney to redo the Disney treasures by using hashtags on social media? My friend, every little while I bring this up again because folks always ask. I wish to the high heavens that they would do it. People have been asking since they ended how many years ago?
It's a while now.
Nope. Disney, what it will take, I always say the same thing, what it will take is the right person has to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So if at some point something changes, the right person has to be in charge who goes, yes, I would like to do that. Otherwise, they don't care. So I don't think it's ever going to happen. But I appreciate you the asking.
They never made them available on iTunes.
No,
or,
no, they did not. It makes again, for a company that loves money as much as they do, you would really think they'd do something with these? Nah. Crazy. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that.
Okay. More sheet music this week.
More sheet music.
You may ask, and you may ask.
You may ask.
Is Eric von Stroheim on any sheet music?
Hey,
Why,
Daddy,
yes.
Is Eric von Stroheim on any sheet music?
Funny you should ask.
Indeed. Indeed he is.
For his early talkie film, The Great Gabbo. He didn't write or direct it, but he appeared as an actor in it, as a ventriloquist in vaudeville. But everything about this is great.
I would not think of him as a ventriloquist on vaudeville.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
No,
I surely wouldn't.
The tune is called Icky. And it says it's sung in conjunction with the James Cruise Incorporated all dialogue musical screen extravaganza, personally directed by James Cruise. Words and music by Don McNamee and
King Zany. Rappers today think they came up with everything, but no. King Zany coming through back in the day.
Look at some of the other song titles in the box.
I'm in love with you. Every now and then. The Web of Love. The Gaga Bird. The New Step. I'm Laughing. And Icky. There will be a quiz. Leonard, are you planning to see the Phoenician Scheme?
Yes, I am.
I really want to see it. Bless you, bless you.
Yeah.
I really, really want to see it. I hope that I get to at some point.
I'm intrigued by the mostly silent films that inspired more than one sheet music.
Oh my God.
This one says,
"Oh, Susanna, song and foxtrot combined as sung in the Covered Wagon." Guys, you get a song and you get a little foxtrot.
But if that's not good enough for you, there's Covered Wagon Days.
But wait.
What does this say?
It says dedicated to James Cruise's Paramount picture, The Covered Wagon by Emerson.
It's dedicated to the movie. It's not in the movie.
No, it's dedicated.
Dedicated
To the movie. Be sure to get copies of these big song hits. Not here, not there. It's 50 miles from nowhere. We should learn that one.
Yeah.
I've got a song for sale that my sweetie turned down.
It's a sad idea.
Got a song. Wow. Next.
This is the song of the Big Trail.
Yes.
Speaking of Westerns.
When you are on a big trail, here's a song for you to sing. You're welcome. I like it. On the back, you've got Under the Spell of Your Kiss and I'll Find My Way to You Wherever You Are. That is actually a theme for Stalkers. Von Stroheim drinks and smokes as he ventriloquizes.
Yeah.
Incredible scene. I know. It's wild.
Yeah. This is a Western song that I heard in Looney Tunes. And because they had free use of all Warner Brothers songs.
Yeah.
And that's Dick Foran, who starred in some Western short subjects at Warner Brothers. Go to sleep, my little buckaroo. That's all I remember.
That's all you need. Excerpts from the Mervyn Leroy production, Mr. Dodd Takes the Air.
You got to look at the back of old sheet music because sometimes the back cover is as good as or better than
The
front.
book said, this is the person who read that you've written for Edge of Night. The book said Mr. Maltin ghost wrote for Edge of Night because of his close friendship with Gus Kibbe's niece, Lois, who was on the show.
One time before I was going to Austin for an appearance, somebody from a local paper called me to do an interview and said, "So is it true you were born in Amarillo?" I said, "No, but I had a steak there once."
Right?
Somebody had added that to my Wikipedia entry.
They do it periodically. I have to go in and fix it like every few months. I go in and fix it because it'll say Leonard was born in Texas. He sure wasn't. This is Warner Brothers and Vitaphone singing pictures. First National and Vitaphone singing pictures. Dorothy McHale.
Yeah.
Beautiful star of bright lights. A First National and Vitaphone picture. This waltz is the Kiss Waltz, it says here.
Are you looking for Buster Keaton material?
When I think of Buster, I immediately think of music. Buster Keaton, Free and Easy.
His early talkie vehicle. These films are not very good.
Free and Easy. It's a fun cover, though.
Yeah, it is. It's signed, but I can't make out the signature, the artist.
It looks like Eaton or Eulon.
Yeah.
I think it's Eaton. Looks like Eutin or something like that. I like that.
And here's another one from
Song successes from the foremost talkies. Cooking breakfast for the one I love.
That's a great song.
Chant of the Jungle. Cooking breakfast for the one I love.
Fanny Bryce sang that.
Of course she did.
Here's another Buster sheet music.
Doughboys.
And here's something I found not too long ago online that I didn't know existed. And I don't know. I think this is perhaps a rarity because it's called Buster, and it doesn't say
That's
it's
not
sung
him.
in. No, it's Donald O'Connor playing Buster Keaton in the Buster Keaton story.
Buster, words by Wilson Stone, music by Victor Young.
Victor Young died in 1956 and still had like 10 credits to come afterwards. He was a workhorse.
Is this movie any good?
No.
Didn't think so. That's wild.
Not for lack of trying by Donald O'Connor.
Well, yes, I have the biggest crush on Donald O'Connor. I always will. I love him. How do you keep the records from deteriorating? Just being gentle with them, keeping them in the right kind of temperature when you can.
You know, I can't. I'm not an archive. I'm just a guy.
I'm going to make that into a shirt for you.
It's very tough to try to do things properly when it's just you. If I had a staff, I would have them putting each of these in a acid-free envelope, and I would have them in a temperature and humidity-controlled room, etc. I mean, I know all the stuff you're supposed to do.
we know what's needed. There's just only one of us.
But
Donald O'Connor, second only to Astaire. You know, I just think they're so different. It's like to me when people try to compare Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire. They're so completely different that I don't know how you can compare them. Gene Kelly is an athlete, and the way he moves to me is quite athletic. Graceful, of course, but athletic. Fred Astaire, who in my head must have been so tall because he was just this tall, skinny beanpole of a person. He is one of the most graceful dancers that I think exists. He makes it look so easy, and the figure that he cuts in those tails is just perfection.
It's watching him walk.
Yeah.
Not even dance.
Yeah.
Just walk.
No, it's perfection. So I say I don't really think you can compare them. Donald O'Connor to me was sort of, I guess the way I describe his dancing was fun. He was so talented, of course, but there's a joy that comes out of him when he dances that I just love. And there's also a youthfulness to the way that he moves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're all so different, so completely different. I mean, if you watch Singing in the Rain and you watch Donald and Jean dancing together, they're two very different kinds of dancers. They're both incredible, but just two very different kinds, you know? Oh, I like that Popeye one.
Saving that one for last.
All right.
Here's
You're Nothing But a Nuffin' from the Walt Disney Silly Symphonies, The Flying Mouse.
You wouldn't think there'd be sheet music on that, but there is.
But there is. The back is
I
pretty
don't know.
great. Back of Silly Symphonies is great. Ken says, please see Ballad of Wallace Island before it leaves theaters.
I was told that just last night by
Yeah.
a friend. And this is great. This is a Popeye song folio, a collection of songs written for the Popeye cartoons. And look at that artwork on the cover.
Fantastic. What I like is that, so you're buying Popeye music, which means the most logical thing to advertise is Bing Crosby.
Well, it's on the back cover.
I'm just saying, you know.
They were both Paramount stars.
Yes, I get it. Arranged for ukulele, piano, guitar, and banjo.
Yep.
Don't you forget
You
it.
can strum along.
That is so funny. That is so
Most
funny.
most sheet music of that era
Had
ukulele
as an option.
Ukulele chords.
Very different. Ken saying, I would say O'Connor is more akin to Danny Kaye. Yeah, but Danny Kaye couldn't dance like that.
There's on YouTube, you can see a reunion of Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor from a late 50s TV special. And so they did dance together again.
Yeah.
That one time after Singing in the Rain.
Yeah. O'Connor, 1 second, I'm going to go back up because come here. Go up, will you? Hey, you, go up. There we go. Becky says, I agree about Kelly and Astaire. I just think O'Connor is underestimated. He 100, I can't count how many times I've said it. I do not think that people ever gave him enough credit for how talented he was at everything.
Yeah.
Because he could sing, he could dance, he could act. He was handsome. He was perfect. Perfect. And as I say, I've had a crush on him since I was a kid. I did get to meet him, which was very exciting. But yeah, I don't think that he really got that kind of acknowledgement in the way that he should have. I'll tell you, someone I didn't realize danced as well as they did was Jerry Lewis. And I forget what I was it must have been an Andy Williams episode because I love the Andy Williams show. And he's dancing and he's a really good dancer. He's a really good dancer.
These performers grew up in a show business, where you had to do it all. Ideally,
and they could, because I knew that Jerry could sing. I knew he could very much carry a tune and perform a song. I knew that, but I did not know that he could dance the way that he can dance. And, obviously, because he was so physical, part of his comedy was the physicality of him. I wasn't surprised that he could move his body because he has to be able to do that. But he could dance. And watching especially the early episodes of him on the Andy Williams show where he's younger and he is dancing and singing and with Andy Williams and cracking Andy Williams up, which is always my favorite thing. I love the Dinah Shore Chevy show. And I love the Andy Williams show. And in both cases, anybody who can make them laugh is my hero. And the number one person who could do that consistently, who? My favorite. Can you think of it?
No.
Pearl Bailey.
Oh.
Pearl Bailey could crack both of them up. And it's one of my favorite things to watch. There's a great, great, great clip of Andy Williams singing Brain. That The Simple Life. There you go. Give me the Simple Life. The two of them doing that is absolutely, it's wonderful. And then she does on the Dinah Shore Chevy show, she does a rendition of Mac the Knife where at a certain point, Dinah Shore can no longer breathe because she's laughing so hard. at Pearl Bailey. She was just magnificent, absolutely magnificent, you know. Sammy Davis Jr. was a great dancer too. Oh no,
Well,
we can go into it. It's like my dad said, they could do anything. They really could. They learned to do absolutely everything. I love Sammy Davis Jr. in Sweet Charity. I think that number is
I love that
perfection.
number.
I think that
The
number is
the
absolutely perfect.
rhythm of life.
Yeah, it's so good. Becky says Lewis was multi-talented, but I don't appreciate his comedy at all. And I get that. I absolutely get that. Again, if you look at some of the earlier stuff where he wasn't, as I said, like if you watch the clip of him singing with Andy Williams, he's trying to make Andy Williams be as goofy as he is. And that's not Andy Williams.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it that much funnier, is that he's trying to get him to move his body in crazy ways. And Andy is sort of trying, but also just laughing. John says, hey, Leonard, I will be your archivist. Contact me. You don't stand a chance, John. You have not seen our home, but thank you. Sammy could do everything. He could do absolutely everything.
Flip Man, who was married
greatest
to
names of all time,
the great drummer Shelly Man.
Shelly Man.
Told me that Shelly was on a recording date for a Jerry Lewis movie. I think the Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
And Jerry said to him during a break, I play the drums too. And Shelly said, oh, I can also do comedy. And this is the last time Shelly Man ever got booked on a Jerry Lewis film.
That's amazing. that is perfect though. That is perfect. Man, there's so many great lines like that.
Yeah.
That people came out with. And for me, it's still the one calls and asks if he can play a gig, but he's dead. He's just keep hearing it.
That's the Buddy Rich story.
Buddy Rich story. There's some really, there's just so many good jokes. Man, oh man. Folks, can I ask you, was Loretta Swit mentioned during, okay, so several of you have been asking about Loretta Swit. Did you ever interview her? Did you anything her?
I met her. She was very nice. The one thing I know about her is that she supported Actors and Animals for Others.
Actors and Others for Animals.
Actors and Others for Animals. Freudian slip. Which is a very good organization here in San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is just that. Actors who care about having animals spayed and neutered and getting their
adopted and cared for.
Mm-hmm.
I volunteered for them for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They used to put on a gala, and it was a blast. It was so much fun because it was all old Hollywood. And so you've got like Joanne Worley walking around with raffle tickets. It was really, really fun. And we had a lot of wonderful afternoons there.
Yeah.
And their silent auction was also really good. And it's where I got I have a signed Ella Fitzgerald sheet music. I have a handful of things that we won over the years from that. And I still have them because I love them.
Friday night before last, I was reminded of that.
Yep.
We went to the El Portal Theater, which was built as a movie theater and has now been very nicely reconfigured as a legit theater with a second stage, for a smaller second stage, so you can have two events going on at once. And it was the 90th birthday celebration of Ruta Lee, who, as Ruta Kilmonis, was one of the 7 brides for 7 brothers.
Yep.
And she and Julie Newmar, I guess, are the last women standing.
Yeah, they are.
I think
they absolutely are.
And Ruth is very proud of her Lithuanian roots, and indeed, she got a special recognition from the Lithuanian consulate and all that the other night. And she performed, and she was good. She knows how to sell.
Yeah.
A song.
Yeah.
And she's just effervescent, incredible quality. And friends of hers performed that night, and including Bruce Valanche and Fritz Coleman, who's actually very funny. He's a longtime weatherman here, but his heart is in the world of comedy.
Yeah.
And he's very good. And Ann Gillian, who sounded great. And I'm going to forget somebody, and I apologize now.
Mommy met John Schneider and said he was very handsome.
Yes.
Repeatedly telling me very handsome.
He was and is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was a celebratory evening. It was a fundraiser.
Yeah.
For the Thalians.
Yeah.
Who built a wing at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in days gone by, and are now involved with UCLA. Excuse me, UCLA Medical, taking care of veterans.
Mm-hmm.
That's their focus right now. And a well-heeled fan and friend of Ruta's donated $90,000.
Jesus, it's amazing.
That ain't hay.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were talking about before my parents went on Friday night. My mom and dad and I were talking about how there was a different time when the actors, directors, everybody sort of working, they understood that they had to take care of each other, because even though in some cases unions began to exist, there was very little security, and they knew they needed to be there for each other. And that's why places like the Home, the motion picture home here, and their hospital, and all of that, it's why it consistently raises money, because the idea is that you should be able, in your older age, to be taken care of.
Yep.
By your fellow artists.
Yeah.
And you put in all that time and all those years and all that work, and that's what should happen. And to me, it's really beautiful. I think it's a really, really beautiful thing that they want to make sure that everyone's going to be all right. And yeah. And Ruta is very much part of that with the Thalians, same kind of a thing. So amazing work. They do amazing work. Yeah, you guys, Mom, was saying you guys had a blast, and Rusty Frank was there, and
Yep.
Our friend Rusty was saying to my mom, and my mom felt quite similar. Everybody in this room is going to be at my funeral. We joke there's certain events that we go to where we just know everybody, like it's the gang, and it's quite funny to walk into that room and just go, "Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone we know." Yes, and yet the hospital nearly closed from lack of funds. I know, but man, they've worked real hard. Craig, I binged Department Q. It's great. Did you watch it? Scott Frank did not write, but he directed this new series, Department Q, that's on Netflix. I told Mommy to watch it because she's going to love it. I loved it. I watched it in one sitting. I thought it was great. Did you like it? Mommy's going to say to me, she's going to say, I couldn't understand anything they were saying, set in Scotland. Couldn't understand anything they were saying. That's what's coming next.
Yes, and answering Neil, yes, of course I remember doing the National Film Board of Canada special, and I was criticized in the New York Times by their TV critic for being so too enthusiastic. Well, it was called my favorite shorts from the National Film Board. So I don't know what to say to that.
What you say is not nice. I can't believe it's June 1st. How did that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen?
I really don't understand, but we're here. We will see you next Sunday, unless there's something that you have magically forgotten to tell me about.
Could be.
It could be. I think we'll see you next week. Fingers crossed. Everybody, please take good care of yourselves and be safe out there. And as this guy says,
be kind.